on this one, just some final thoughts as you kind of digested everything that happened on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just incredibly proud of the guys. You know, it was a big 10 days of preparation, obviously going into a marquee game that we circle every single year with our rivals, and to do it in the fashion that we did and to overcome the adversity that we had just really shows the resiliency of the group. And, you know, I put the tweet out yesterday, but it's just so humbling and so incredibly proud to lead these guys, to serve these guys, and to have them as role models for the young people in our community, and especially our young people, you know, my son, my daughter, and all the little ones on our staff. I mean, it's truly, when you take a step back and the things that they've accomplished, especially this senior class that we're going to recognize on Saturday. You know, it's a special group. They've done some remarkable things, and to be bowl eligible, to get your wheel back home, and to have that for another 365 days, earn the right to keep that in your locker rooms, are a really big deal. And to do it with a goose egg, you know, tremendous job by the defense, and really dominant fashion by the O-line, rushing for over 400 yards, and another really, really strong performance in special teams. So really proud of the guys, really humbled to serve them, and really excited for this weekend and the opportunity that we have ahead of us.
Well, let's wrap things up with the wagon wheel with Alan Mull for some questions as you look back on Saturday.
Yeah, Coach, when you looked at the film, you know, what did you see defensively, you know, that maybe you hadn't seen in the recent past, especially?
I thought there was guys that were playing with confidence, guys that were playing with conviction, and just a relentless attitude and a fanatical effort to get to the ball. You know, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't clean by any means, but I tell you what, like the play that Matt Harmon made is a great example, you know, of fanatical effort to chase down that ball carrier, to generate the forced fumble. Obviously, CJ West had a really impressive day, you know, having 3 sacks and being really disruptive. There was a lot of havoc that was created at level one, that led to a lot of success, you know, in the levels beyond. And it was just, again, a real resilient effort that no matter where they got put, I was really proud of them. You know, at the start of the second half there, we didn't execute when they executed their middle drag and got that surprise onside, but they didn't bat an eye. They came out and they closed that thing, and actually, you know, school down the road ended up losing yards on that drive. You know, and so just those moments of no matter what the spot was, put the ball down, let's play, and the fanatical effort to get to the ball and generate great plays.
I mean, as you look back, did you do anything, you know, dramatically different scheme wise, or did you play guys that hadn't been played recently or anything like that?
I mean, we simplified some things, you know, simplified it, and really, I guess, kind of took a step back in the 10 days that we had to kind of evaluate what guys had done best and where we could put them in the most consistent spots to have the most consistent success. And I got a lot of reps at them doing that through those 10 days of practice. And, you know, it's a great one-time performance against our rival, which is awesome, which is what we needed to do. But like we talk about all the time, and we want to be consistently good, not occasionally great. So we got to go out and do it again. It's against a really, really good Miami offense that, you know, is multifaceted with a lot of weapons that can hurt you. And so we got a tall task ahead that, as good as last week was, we all know this is a what have you done for me recently business. And we got to be better as we go forward and continue to improve.
My last one, I know Coach Cox was in the press box, I believe, in the past. Did he stay up there, or did he come down the sideline as the coordinator?
He was down on the sidelines. You know, did a great job. I thought his demeanor was great through the course of the game. And again, kids really rallied behind him, and it was awesome to see him get that ice bath at the end of it, which was a lot of fun. Glad that was him and not me.
Yeah. Just talk. I mean, obviously, you never know how that's going to go. And like you're saying, pretty smooth operation overall, all things considered.
Yeah. Again, I knew the guys that we have in that defensive staff room and the kids that we have on that side of the ball, you know, kind of sat and we talked however many days ago when that hard decision had to be made. You know, just had a belief that we could be better on that side, and you know, made that call. The guys really responded to it. You know, and we pressed forward with it. You know, so it was best for what we need to do. Not an easy task, and you know, again, very thankful for everything that Coach Kaufman did prior to us, but Coach Cox and the defensive guys and the rest of the staff and the players really stepped up in a big time way, put down one great effort, and now we got to go, you know, show and prove that that's who we are again as we continue to move forward ahead in this journey that we're on.
Let's move things along to Jack Burney from TV2. Any final questions coming out of Saturday?
Yeah, Coach, I just got one question on Saturday's game. I think it was one of your most complete games of the season, just in all three phases. Just what do you think you need to carry over from that performance into this week's game?
Again, the word that comes to mind is the resiliency. With everything that we went through, the preparation through it, and then that really showed up on game day, where there was some plays offensively where we got behind schedule that we were able to come back from and take advantage of in the first half to, execute each and every single one of those drives. I thought it was one of our most consistent efforts in tackling. I thought it was one of our most consistent efforts, when it came to covering people up in the run game and pass pro. So just the resiliency and the consistency. If we can do that through all three phases, for 4 quarters, again, we're a talented team that our kids play really hard and they love playing together, that good things are going to come of that.
Well, let's keep things rolling with James Oswald from the Kent Stater. Any final questions from Saturday?
Yeah, Coach, you've talked about it all year. The games won in the trenches. What did you kind of see from your line that they were doing really well out there and that they've continued to do all year?
I thought they did a great job offensively of communicating the multiple fronts. School down the road stresses you out with the various fronts that they're going to give you and forcing you to really mic ID and make sure everyone's working together with that. They did a great job of that. And whenever those guys are playing and identifying things properly together with good pad level, there was an extra sense of nastiness, if you will, probably because of the rivalry where there's a little bit more finish where guys were towing the line, which was great to see. And, they were just having fun playing together. The backs ran really hard. Didn't matter who it was, Coop, X, Bradford, Crum, those guys have confidence running behind the guys up front because of the way that they're covering guys up and the way they were finishing downfield.
And last one for me, I think you guys only punted once, and that was Dustin. Can I talk about that play and just, what you thought of his punting abilities there? He's had a pretty good punt.
Yeah, well, we've been pretty fortunate. That's the only punt in the past 2 years against those guys. So, I'll take that efficiency. I know Coach Barton, Coach Barton was yelling at me if we could just, tell him that early on so he didn't have to worry so much about the punt team. That would be great. But, Dustin, what hasn't been said about him, he's an all-around football player that happens to play quarterback for us. So, putting him in that situation, really heavy play by him. Great job by Nakeem getting down, positioning himself and pinning that thing at the 1. It was great play, great football play.
Well, let's wrap up Saturday with the voices of the Golden Flash. Rob Polinsky, any questions for Coach coming out of Saturday? All right, then. We'll move things along to obviously a big one at Dick Stadium on Saturday. Coach, just kind of your overall thoughts as you take a look at the Red Hawks and everything that you guys have worked so hard for still in front of you.
Yeah, great opportunity. Everything that we've, really zeroed in on. We talked about the daily fight when we got back here in January to earn this opportunity to, punch our ticket to Detroit. And, you kind of knew the way that this thing was going to sort out and how talented and how well coached the Miami Red Hawks are, that this day and this weekend could come down to, this sort of culmination of events, so to speak. So it's everything that you could ask for, as a fan and everything you could ask for as a coach and player in our program. And again, it's for it to culminate in senior day with this group of seniors that has an opportunity to go out as one of the all-time winningest groups, in the history of Kent State football is really cool. But we got to have a great week of preparation, and really be locked into the plan because there's weapons in all three phases, that the Red Hawks have that we got to do a great job, taking advantage of. I think they've gotten like 3 or 4 kids that have already been invited, to the Reese Senior Bowl, which is for the best of the seniors in the country. So we got to do a great job identifying where all those weapons are in all three phases and be at our best. That's what's required. And that's what you want to have. And shoot, to have the opportunity to become a champ, we got to go beat the champs. And Miami was the last team from the East, to take home a MAC title. So we got to beat these guys to become the champs. And so we got to have a great week of championship preparation as we get ready for Saturday and stay focused on the task at hand.
Well, let's open up to questions, starting with Alan from the Record Courier. Any thoughts on Saturday and senior day and the task at hand?
Yeah, Coach, you kind of talked about your seniors a little bit already, but just, looking back at the grad students and the fifth-year guys in particular, and buying into things way back then and the journey that they've, have had over the years and to end it playing their last game at Dick Stadium for a championship. Just kind of talk about that.
It's awesome. I didn't have a chance to recruit a lot of these kids, but they chose to stay, and I chose to come coach them. And you know, their buy-in, their belief to everything that we did long ago. And you know, shoot, about a year ago this time, when everything went sideways with COVID, and they were granted that extra year for, you know, the majority of them to say, hey, we want to come back. We got a special opportunity here, and we want to come back and finish what we started, was really, really special. And so for this to be at that spot and everything that they've given to the program, everything that they've given to each other, it's really, really special. You know, and we've taken some time during this journey to detach, because you really don't realize how good you have it until it's done and it's over. You know, so we've taken some time this year while we've been on this journey to do that, to recognize, man, these really are some special times, and we've had some special moments. And hopefully if we do things the right way and we prepare at a really high level and we put in the work that's required, maybe we can go create one more special moment in Dix and, you know, get an opportunity to keep playing and create more time with this special group of young men.
All right, Coach, looking at the matchup here. I got the stats in front of me. Number one offense, not close. Number one defense, not close. Just talk about the matchup, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're dynamic. I mean, especially defensively, they got a fabulous front four ever since they've been in conference play. I was looking at the numbers this morning. I mean, the most rushing yards they've given up ever since they got in conference play was 150 yards against Bowling Green last week. And a couple of those are a couple of explosive plays that if you take those away, you know, I mean, shoot, they held Lou Nichols up at Central Michigan, who we all know dear and well, to only 52 yards rushing, you know, total. They're a stout front that is fundamentally sound. They're very well coached. They fly to the football. They don't miss very many tackles. You know, so they make you earn it. They make you go the long way. And, you know, we're going to have to strap it up and get it on and be ready to roll.
Just in particular, a couple of these guys have some huge defensive numbers with, you know, sacks, tackles for loss. You know, Cameron Butler, 13 and 7. I mean, just talk about the individual, these players and how you're going to handle.
I'm going to say a couple of Hail Marys this week, a couple more than I usually do probably. Because, I mean, they got multiple guys that they line up all over the place, you know, whether it's Cam Butler, Ben Kempler, I mean, Dominique Robinson, shoot, all of these guys. I mean, Austin Ertl, who you know, kind of quietly goes unnoticed, but I mean, creates all kinds of havoc because he's got quality numbers, but the guys around him got a bunch of great numbers. I mean, it's just guy after guy after guy up front, and they keep, you know, sending them in waves. It kind of reminds me of when we played Maryland, and those guys were rolling 8, 12 defensive linemen, and you know, we're able to stay fresh because of it. These guys have the same luxury, and they play a lot. They rotate a lot so they can keep them fresh. They stay active. They're high motored. They got great technique. They pick their parents the right way. They got great genetics. I mean, they're a problem. And you know, luckily the good Lord made some caffeine. I'm gonna be drinking a lot of it, and we're gonna find a way to hopefully slow these guys down a little bit this week.
What are just kind of your initial thoughts right now on the keys to doing something, being effective against these guys?
Stay in front of them, move your feet, play with tight hands. I mean, we're gonna have to earn every blade of grass that's out there. Truly, they play with great fundamentals, so we have to match, you know, the fundamentals, the physicality, and the desire to move someone against their will, because they take great pride, you know, in their front 6, 7. You can tell of being gap sound, knocking people back, and just having a passion to, you know, knock the ball back and make you earn everything. So we have to match that intensity, and we have to do it with our film preparation. We have to do it with our work, you know, in between the white lines this week as we lead up to it. We got to have a great understanding of the plan, the nuances of the plan, and how we want to go about it. And then we got to go match that intensity, you know, but I don't think that's going to be a problem at all for our kids. They know what's at stake. They know what's on the line, right? And again, you wouldn't want to have it any other way. Like, again, these are the guys who last time from the East that brought home the crown. And so if we want to have that opportunity, we got to go through them, and let's go earn the right to do it.
I saw Adam got back in a little bit on field goal.
Yep.
Do you think he's got a shot at getting back on the line this year or this weekend?
I hope so. You know, that it was kind of where he was at and what he was able to do, and obviously the importance of that game, and for his last opportunity to compete in the Wagon Wheel rivalry, we wanted him to participate in that. So that was what he was able to do, and hopefully as he continues to progress along this week, hopefully he'll be able to do a little bit more. We'll see how the week goes with that, but you know, it's great to see him back out there doing that. that piece. And it was just that's a big deal. That's one of those things, right? That you kind of never forget, to where, hey, he wasn't at 100%, but it meant so much to him that, hey, I can do that. Let me do that for the good of the team. And again, that's what makes this group so special.
Okay, then hit their offense. Veteran quarterback.
Yep.
Just kind of talk about what they bring.
Yeah, I mean, veteran quarterback, dynamic wide receivers. The Sorensen kid, I think he's up to maybe 8 or 9 games in a row of over 100 or 110 receiving yards per game. He's well over 1,200 yards. They got the Penn State transfer, Mac Hippenhammer, who's opposite of him. So, they complement one another. They have a stable of backs that it's just like, I mean, I thought we're pretty fortunate with the number of backs we have. I mean, these guys are rolling 4, 5, 6 different backs in, based off who the hot hand is. They're all very, very dynamic, all very special. And again, it's hard to disrupt the skill because they're so well protected by the size of their old line. I mean, they're all, again, 6'6", 300, 6'4", 312, 6'5", 320, 6'5", 324, 6'7", 306. I mean, they're giants up front. So again, you can tell that they have a prototype for each position. And I go through all that, and I don't even mention their tight ends, which are just mismatch nightmares because they have the athletic ability to flex out and to go vertical in space, but yet have the physicality to come back down and set an edge, and really be a force in line with their hands as blockers as well. So, Coach Martin and his staff, they've been there for 9 years, have done a fabulous job recruiting to their scheme and to their prototypes for each position. And the pieces fit, and they play off one another very, very well. So very balanced attack, and we got to do a great job, being fundamentally sound and playing with great attitude, great effort, and flying to the football to, even when we're not exactly right, erase some of those mistakes and give ourselves a chance to play some more ball.
My last one, it doesn't always work out like this with the schedule, where you guys, the two obviously best teams meet in the last season or last game to settle it. And fortunately for you, it's at your place. Just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You kind of, I guess everyone probably does the exercise, at the start of the year where you kind of think you have an idea of how things might be or how teams might be. And you go through and kind of circle certain ones and try and figure out maybe where the numbers are going to come so you can get bowl eligible and all those different things. And no matter how you kind of spliced it in the preseason this year, you always kept kind of coming back to, no matter the scenario, that this one was going to be a big one. And to have it at home with these seniors, with everything on the line, like, sign me up. Like, let's go get it on. I mean, I know there's another big game in town or in state this week, but there ain't none bigger than this one here in Northeast Ohio.
Well, let's move things over to Jack Burney from TV2. Any questions about Saturday's matchup?
Yeah, Coach, you talked about him a little bit earlier, but their quarterback, Gabbert, he's having a pretty good year. He's only thrown 4 interceptions, and you guys are historically this season have done very well when you've been able to generate turnovers. Just as a defense, what are some things you think you'll need to do to maybe force him to make some mistakes that he normally doesn't make?
I think we got to get a pressure on him first and foremost. We got to affect him in that way, right? I mean, anytime a quarterback's comfortable and can throw on time and throw on rhythm and be on script with what they want to do, life's a little bit easier, right? So we got to do a great job generating some pressure and getting him off his spots and getting him to feel us a little bit. And then in the back end, we got to do a great job, disguising looks and then being opportunistic. That if we get the opportunity to get our hands on the ball the way that we have, to where we can capitalize on that, to where we're number 1 in the country in turnover margin right now, we got to be able to do that again, and again, that's a tremendous testament to the work that the kids have done. Coach Macrinos, Coach Cox, the number of ball drills that they do with our secondary so that, those PBUs becomes INTs and those become game-changing plays that obviously you steal possessions. And with today's age of college football, anytime that you can steal extra possessions, that's big.
You mentioned Miami's rush defense earlier, how good they are. Do you think that's going to force you to try and take more shots down the field, or is that going to be something that kind of dictates itself early in the game?
I think we got to feel it out early in the game. I mean, obviously you turn on the tape and you're 11 weeks into it, and really the only team that's had any sort of success, I mean, the 2 teams, right, is Cincinnati week 1, which is a top 4 team in the country, top 5 team in the country, right? And then Army had success, running the ball as well, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, is the number 1 rushing team in the country, right? So those are really the 2 teams when you look at the end results, right? Everyone else had less than 175 yards rushing, through 11 weeks. So, we got to go see, we got to go test it. Obviously, we all know our plan to win. We want to run the football, so we got to go test that. And we got to see how we're going to do, how we're going to hold up, because we've been halfway decent, run the ball ourselves. And, my wife always tells me I got a hard head, so got to go make her right.
My last one, you guys are undefeated at Dick Stadium for over the last 2 seasons. Obviously, this one's probably the biggest game you've had at Dick Stadium in a long while. Just how big of a home field advantage is it? And just what do you want to say to Flash Fast Nation to try and get them out there on Saturday at Thanksgiving just to help you bring home that W?
We need everyone out there. Again, I mean, record the other game that's on. Come see this one. This is a big one. Our kids love playing at home. You know, it's a great environment. And I think our kids got a certain bit of confidence, certain bounce in their step because of what they've created. And again, we've talked a lot about it on here, you know, in these weekly talks, guys, to where, you know, championship caliber teams, they defend their home turf. And our guys have done that. And shoot, all that being said, these Red Hawks, I saw a stat, I think it was in the latest broadcast when they were playing BG, something like they've only lost maybe like 4 or 6 games in the month of November, right? So like it's kind of all these really cool factors of, you know, hey, we're undefeated at home. They win in November when it really, really matters for the past 4 or 5 years, kind of all coming to a head. And again, it's 2 talented teams with kids that play the game the right way in all 3 phases. Again, their coaching staff and the way their kids are coached, you know, is fabulous. It's just going to be a high caliber, high quality football game. And I'm excited to step in that arena again with our kids and mix it up and see what happens.
Let's move things over to James Oswalt from the Kent Stater.
Yeah, because we talked about how good their quarterback is, and you know, they have one of the best receivers in the MAC. You said that, you know, you got to put some pressure on the quarterback to kind of, you know, affect the pass game. But looking at your secondary, you know, coming off a really good game, one of their best of the season, what do you look to see from, you know, specifically like your cornerbacks, your defensive backs to kind of stop the pass game?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to their eye discipline. It comes back to their fundamentals. It comes back to their communication, right? I think a lot gets made in these big games to where people got to put their Superman cape on and you got to do all these really special things. And the truly special things to me is doing the simple things at a really high level. You know, so when you're going against 2 great wide receivers in Sorensen and Hippenhammer, you know, like those guys, they require your focus. They require your discipline to where your eyes are supposed to be where they're supposed to be, you know, identifying the splits, identifying the sets, knowing the tendencies and the different route combinations that could come off of it, communicating that with your brothers in the back end so you know where your help is, and then play into your leverage, play into your technique, and doing that, as boring as it sounds, play after play after play after play, right? And knowing that, hey, you're going against a really good guy. He's going to win some, right? But hey, you got to learn from that. Got to take confidence from the ones that you win yourself and then keep going after it, right? Like that's going to be for our secondary, for our corners, for our safeties, like that's going to be the individual fight, snap after snap after snap, rep after rep after rep through preparation as we get to Saturday and into Saturday, you know, as we step into that competitive arena.
And last one for me, you guys are coming off a really hype win. I mean, you know, beating us, go down the road, bowl eligible. How do you kind of settle your team down and get them ready for another big game, you know, right off the bat?
I mean, every year that one's a big one for us. And I think we've done a good job in the past of refocusing and heading forward. You know, it was pretty simple last week with all that was going on. Just say, hey, this one's for the wheel. And it was a really easy way to get guys locked back in, and they handled it the right way. And again, this week, it's everything that we've worked for. It's all the reason that the kids came here. It's the reason that we came here as a staff. It's the reason, you know, that we point to. And so as we go through and we check our goals in terms of, you know, graduating guys, retaining the wheel, well, shoot, next one up is winning the East. So, hey, you got an opportunity to check off a goal. Let's go, right? I mean, like, I don't want to be so concerned about turning the guys down, you know, or like I want them a little frisky this week. I want them amped up for this one. I want them good to go because this is a big one. This is what they came here for. Like, this is what our fans should expect. This is what sustained winning is going to look like, and we're going to be in these games year in and year out. And I'm excited as heck to have this one at home and have this opportunity to go capitalize on.
Let's wrap things up with our radio crew. Rob, do you have any questions for Coach?
Yeah, sorry. It really helps when I learn how to unmute myself, or I would have asked you one earlier. But Coach, if there was anything negative from Saturday, and maybe something that's been a bit of a problem all season, is the amount of penalties that were drawn. How do you keep the guys amped up, like you're talking about, excited, like you're talking about, playing the level they need to, and yet cut down on those penalties? And how big a concern is it moving forward with the amount of penalties we're still having each week?
Yeah, I mean, the penalties that we had on Saturday were of a certain kind of nature that I'm okay with. But I want our guys in a lot of ways to lean, to toe the line. And so some of those, hey, they didn't go our way. But again, in those types of settings, we got to be better. We got to be a little bit smarter, and we'll be that. But I'm not going to overcoach those types of things. There wasn't a whole lot of, alignment, assignment, pre-snap, mental bust in those penalties and of that nature. Now, the late hit out of bounds, that's pretty egregious. We got to be smarter than that. And we got to do, our talking with our pads in between the whistles, and we got to clean that up. And we talked about that. We discussed that. But again, I'd rather have a team that's towing the line and having to maybe pull them back every now and again than asking them to go.
Can you talk about the third phase of the game a little bit, special teams, specifically Andrew Glass, how he's really improved this freshman year from, opening night at A&M to where he is today, and what that can do for the team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, we talk about when we come up short that they're not losses. They might be losses to everyone else, but they're lessons to us, both collectively as a team and as individuals. So shoot, Andrew's a true freshman. He won the job, and his first opportunity to step on a huge stage is down there at College Station. There's a lot for him to learn that night, and he did. And ever since then, he's really continued to grow and evolve and mature. And I mean, shoot, he just took home another special teams player of the week. He's doing a lot of good things, getting confidence and playing his best ball at the right time, and know that we can trot him out there. And I know that thing is going to go through the pipes because that's what he's been doing most consistently as of late, and excited for where we're going in the direction that he's headed.
And lastly, for me, Coach, does this even mean more to you guys because what was taken away last year, where you didn't get that opportunity to play them, maybe get to a bowl? Does that make you and the group even more appreciative of this opportunity Saturday?
Yeah, I think the whole year and everything that we've been doing, you've just had a greater sense of appreciation and just of how fortunate we are to do what we do and to not take it for granted. So it's it's a blessing every day that we get to do what we do and to be around these kids, and again, just to serve them in any way that we can. And this one's pretty special because we win this one, we get the opportunity to play two more instead of just one more. And again, selfishly, I want as much time around these guys each and every single year as possible. I hate it when you're in that locker room for the very last time, the way that we were after we celebrated, at the Frisco Bowl. That 2019 will never be together in that way ever again. And I know at some point in time, this 2021 Flash Fast family, we're going to have that moment, but I want to keep that thing as far downrange as possible for as long as possible and keep soaking up every little thing that I get to do with these guys and cherish every single moment that I have with them, and help them in any way that they can so we can continue to earn these opportunities and make this whole university and our community and our alumni proud.
Let's wrap things up with Tom Evans. Tom, any questions for Coach?
Coach, one comment. First of all, I know you were a little under the weather last week with a little bit of a cold, and my mom used to say that chicken noodle soup was the best cure for that. I think we found out that a win over the school down the road is the best cure for that in the long run. But a great job last week, Coach. With what Miami poses for you and the way that it seems like when the flash fast offense is in tempo and just on the ball snapping, not giving that other team to make some time to make some changes, that's when your offense has been at its best. Do you focus a little bit more on that this week so then they can't make those changes to keep guys fresh? Do you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, we don't need to talk about playing fast, Tom, ever, because our kids know how to do that all the time. We kind of took a different philosophical approach a little bit last week because of, kind of where we were at and the health of our team, and kind of took the air out of the ball, and muddle huddled and slowed it down. And that was more of a conversation about our guys. And I mean, we brought out that H word, huddle, and guys were like, what are we talking about? So no, as far as going fast, our kids love doing that. They embrace obviously that style of play. And but be able to do that. More importantly, it's just about the efficiency, staying on schedule and getting those first downs, because, that's where obviously it becomes very advantageous for us. And against a very stout front like this, staying on schedule and being efficient with all of your calls and your execution of those calls is critically important.
One last thing, a little lighter note. Was Zan lobbying for a little bit more time in the backfield this week after he got the 2-point conversion? Sometimes you create a monster when you let the big guys get a score.
Hey, big guys need love. It was good to see Agent Zero execute that play and go step in. It was a great blocks on the edge. And I mean, that was good stuff.
Thanks and good luck, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Coach, best of luck here as we get ready for Saturday. Let's talk about a trip to Detroit come Saturday afternoon.
Will do. Thanks, guys. Go Flashes.